Welcome back in, everybody. Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Billy. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, you can always get our show on podcast. Visit golftalkradio.com anytime. You'll find us on Apple Podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher, a bunch more. TuneIn Radio. Visit golftalkradio.com to find out more. We were talking in the first hour about a great weekend this past weekend at the Pure Insurance Championship for Claire Alford, representative from the First Tee Central Coast that Billy works with. So if you guys want to hear that again, it's on podcast. We were talking about illegal drivers and some different things like that, the PGA Tour testing. Got a couple other things we're going to talk about, history of the driver. I have one other one, and not to, because we've already talked about this a lot, but this
I
one
understand, Hop, you did a little laughing on that, buddy. Was that a little hearing about those new clubs?
Yeah, I was that miscommunicated god awful break that we took there at the top of the hour.
No problem.
Where I was floating in space and the legal ID suddenly took over.
Yeah.
It was all due to my fault. I was laughing and
It's-
trying to come up with more sound effects for you guys, and I didn't pay attention to my job.
Do you know that these things we're reading are real? I mean, this is really right off their sites, man.
You guys are going to love this.
And what I was telling
cracks me
telling him telling Mike during the break was he could have very well been reading from a catalog of adult sexual supplies. not a golf category. You know, it just
really
sounded like,
could have.
absolutely.
A whole different context. If you had
The big shocker.
This longer shaft, big head. This is huge. Wow.
So this one is the
Great results.
this one is the number 10
This
on
is
the
number
top 10.
10. Yeah.
And I know why it's number 10 now. I just figured it out.
What name is
so
it? What's its name?
I'm going to get my voice going here so I can make sure I can get it. Okay, so number 10 is the So Long White Ghost.
What? So long.
So Long White
Wow.
Ghost. You ready?
I knew him.
Pros, the biggest driver ever made with a club head of 750 cc's. That's right, 750 cc's.
No.
Extremely long, forgiving, and playable. Low center of gravity for high launches and low spin. The sweet spot is all across the face. Cons, golf shaft not included. That's number 10.
So they're just selling the
They're
head.
selling the head.
700 cc's.
750 cc's. That's
750.
huge.
That is so big.
That's almost twice as big
Oh, that's just massive.
as the and it probably doesn't have a shaft because the shaft can't hold the head.
You need a telephone pole.
It's like,
That is large.
hey, Bill, what is that you got on the first tee?
That's the new longest white ghost.
You got a shaft for that? Or
Not
you gonna-
yet. Not yet, buddy, but I'm working on it. It comes with training wheels.
Why is that tractor trailer coming onto the course?
my
Bringing
golf
my
head.
new driver.
That's my new head coming in the parking lot.
Oh, my gosh.
So I was talking to Mike during the break about drivers,
funny.
and we're going to talk about history drivers, but not too long ago. I'm guessing 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. Mike and I played more regular golf, and Dave Schimandel was a buddy of mine who builds clubs. We know Dave from Slick Sticks. I was giving a lesson to a left-handed lady, and I was using her driver as we were. I borrowed a driver, hit a few shots while we were working together, and I killed it. So I told Dave, man, I need a shorter driver because it's like 2 inches shorter than mine, right? My driver.
Yeah.
So he said, I'll build you one. I said, cool. So he built me this, which Mike so kindly called it Maybelline, because it had a powder blue shaft, ladies shaft, powder blue. And the head looks just like Maybelline nail polish. It was a maroonish color nail polish. Pretty little golf club.
Did you have Bill pick those? Did you have Dave pick those colors?
I had
for
no
you?
idea it was coming that way. Because I mentioned ladies, I tried this ladies driver. So
funny.
He brought this thing out, and I just laughed because it was quite beautiful. And the kids in the program called it Revy for Revlon. You called it Maybelline because it looked like nail polish.
It was the most unique looking driver I had ever seen.
But it was one of the best drivers I've ever hit consistently. Remember, we played in tournaments with it. And that driver and I were best friends for a while.
Not only do I remember it for the color, but when you talk about that driver, I think to myself, I'm not sure I ever saw you miss a fairway
That driver
with
was good.
that driver. You were so great with that driver.
I know, man.
I think when we went to Vegas and played the Badlands tournament that I almost died in,
yeah.
I think you were using that driver.
I was.
I seem to remember that.
And I hit it off the fairway and knocked it on this par 5 for us we
Yeah.
were playing. But and it's not one of these brand new drivers that everybody's going. It was just a driver day put together with some components. And it worked. So I still have it. I haven't used it lately, but it, I haven't played lately. But my point was being, it wasn't one of the hottest, the latest, the crazies. And then I was talking, Mike, these new companies, these top line companies, TaylorMades and Titleist and Ping and Cobra, these names. They come out with new drivers regularly because it's marketing, right?
Right.
And they are making the best drivers. But I was looking in the tour bags, which is something I always like to do when I'm at a tour event. And these guys are using drivers from many, many years ago. And
These are the guys at the Pure
champions,
Insurance.
Bernhard
this past weekend?
Langer's clubs are all mixed up. I
Wow.
mean, they're totally different brands. His driver's old, his hybrid's different. His three-wood's a different company. His irons are missed. His wedges are. I mean, it's just pretty neat.
Doesn't he use one of those putters? It's like 6 feet long.
Yeah,
or
he does
something?
use a long putter.
That's right. Good job, Hop.
Yeah, look at Hop being an expert. But what my point was being, they're not using the latest and greatest, but that's what it looks like if you watch the TV commercials. And right, so, and this is how. And so, in this company who just spent $600 on a driver, you realize you can't hit it. You're supposed to. You had all these high hopes. I've got the new thing, and then 6 months later, they're coming out with another one.
I will
And
say
so I need to buy another $600 driver because this one's going to even be hotter or better.
I will say the nice thing about the new drivers is that with those interchangeable shafts, if somebody buys a $500 driver, as long as they don't change the hosel fittings for the next generations to come.
How do you? I see if the company doesn't change the house.
Remember they did that with shoes?
Yeah.
Remember like Nike goes, okay, well, we have soft spikes, but we're going to make our own soft spike. You have to buy from Nike.
Right, I
you
remember.
can't get those spikes from FootJoy. And you're not going to get them anywhere unless somebody carries Nike spikes.
Yeah.
But with the drivers,
The interchangeable, the different companies.
the fittings, the adjustability fittings on the shafts, they've stayed over a couple generations now. So like
from different brand, you can
from like same company.
same company. Okay.
So if you want, like, let's say you came in with a Great Big Bertha driver, you could use the new Flash
Head.
shaft fitting or head, and you could
on
flip
that,
it.
I got you.
And then if let's say you,
So what the heads are costing?
yeah, so let's say you've got the shaft when you bought it was great. A year later, your swing speed drops, or you got hurt, or something like that, and you want to switch out the shaft, you can,
But keep the same head.
as long as the fitting stays the same from generation to generation with that company.
I just find it so hard still, and I'm just almost 60 years old, that there is those change out stuff.
Yeah, it's cool,
It's just
man.
that, I never grew up with any of that stuff, and I don't think any of my clubs, even my driver has a little slider in the back where you can put it towards draw or fade.
Yeah.
You can weight the heel or the toe a little.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's the most modern thing I got. I even think Hogan would go, "What the hell is that?" Right?
Yeah.
But now you can, you wrench them off, pop them on, wrench them on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. It's like a pit stop.
Yeah.
So that's what you do in your fittings. I know that's common, and I see it and watch. I'm lefty, so you don't see that many things like that. I'm sure you have a bunch.
We have some lefties.
But how many different shafts could I try?
10,
And heads.
3,
Okay, yeah.
I think.
So which is probably that's the right proportion of levties. There's not
Yeah.
that many of us. We're still
Yeah.
less than 10%.
I mean, it doesn't.
It's just
It doesn't
interesting.
get used very often.
And
you
how
know?
those connections are pretty solid because some of these things
Yeah.
they're going through at 130 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So that's impacted a ball at 130 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and it stays so stable.
Yeah.
That's
The
just-
number
that's
one
insane.
mistake I see is that people don't, once they buy the driver, they don't. It's locked into place with a torque wrench.
They don't torque
and it's
enough.
got to snap, and then they don't torque it enough. And then they always come in and they're like, man, something's wrong with my driver. It's making a funny noise.
And you just have
it'd
to
be
go
like, you just got to go click. You just got to go one more little turn on it.
So as a PGA fitter, you have
Click
to have
it.
stronger wrists now. Do you do wrist exercises?
I had a wrist injury a couple weeks ago, and I was trying to figure out like my forearm. I'm
See?
like, why is my forearm so
You're going to get
sore?
carpal and forearm injuries
Is
just
it-
from doing all that clicking.
It could be. I never even thought of that. Man, I better get some insurance.
You just start working out.
I know. I need to start doing wrists, right?
Do you sell more drivers than anything else in the golf? Is that do you sell putters or drivers? Which more?
Oh, drivers.
Drivers, hands down. Hybrids or drivers?
Drivers.
Drivers. See what I'm saying? The drivers is what people think they believe this is going to help them score.
It almost like it.
Right? That's what they think.
Yeah. It almost seems to kind of go in order of if you were going to play around a golf. It would be driver first, and then it's irons, or maybe hybrids. Then it's fairways. Then it's putters. Like that's the order of the purchase.
and that's the order of a hole played.
Yeah.
But it's so different because the order of shots is first putters, then wedges,
Yeah.
right? Then nowadays hybrids probably more than your irons, depending on your yardage, but you're not hitting the same 7-iron 12 times. You might be hitting it once or twice. But hybrids are pretty common, especially for the not so strong player. They're hitting a lot of hybrids towards
love
greens.
my hybrids.
Yeah, and then you're a strong player. So then drivers is one of the least clubs that you hit.
Yeah.
Or maybe 3-wood now. I don't hit my 3-wood very much.
I don't even own a 3-wood.
You know, I mean, it used to be I drive it, but I don't hit my driver fast enough now to get into trouble. So I don't need to lay up with 3-woods. So now and then I've got a really strong hybrid that I use off the fairway. I do hit a few 3-woods for par 5s, but it's weird that the driver isn't that. But they think that's going to help them score. They're going to get 5 more yards. Is going to make me score better. I don't think so.
Here's
man.
an example.
Get some wedges in your hand
of what you're just saying right now.
and
Yeah, exactly.
And learn to putt.
And here's an example of that. This is a prime example. So now I've been playing every Monday at 7 a.m. with a group of guys at Paso, and I'm just loving it. Nice. Even though when I get up in the morning, sometimes I'm like, oh, do I really want to go?
You get up early every day.
But it's cool. I love it. So, and this is just the tale of 2 rounds, and it has to do with putting. So 2 weeks ago, I hit 13 out of 18 greens in regulation.
Solid,
I hit it great.
Good.
Hit it really well. 39 putts. And that's because part of it is
that
because
doesn't sound like you at all.
Part of it's because the greens were somewhat sanded.
Oh, but that sounds
and
like
they weren't super consistent, but it just showed how much I got in my head. Like I kept hitting putts and I'm like, okay, that one was short. This one I'm gonna make sure I get it to the hole, and then it's 7 feet by, and then it's it's going back and forth.
So second guessing your way around.
So here's the crazy thing. 38, 39 putts, I shot 79. So then I played this last Monday. First 6 holes, 6 1-putts in a row.
That sounds like
6 1-putts in a row. And so then one of the guys who's playing with me, who played with me the week before, goes,
what's up with
it's so great that you're putting so well. And so then I start thinking about it. And I'm like, oh, no, why did you say that to me? Like, I'm thinking in my head, like, why did you say that to me? So we get around to the back 9 and we're playing, and the fairway bunker on 12, I hit the island in the middle of the fairway bunker, and it's on a downslope. And I go, oh, I got that shot. So I pull out my 3 hybrid and I proceed to pull it out of bounds on the second shot. And what do? I tin cup it, put down another ball, and I do it again.
Oh,
hit it out of bounds twice. So then,
are these medal play or match play matches?
We're just playing.
Oh, just playing. Okay.
But I'm keeping my handicap, man. I want to be honest. I want to know what I'm doing, right? So the guys go, oh, just put a ball down by the fence. I said, no, I'm going back. I said, I got to play this round like playing it, right? So I go back, hit a 4-iron, which is what I should have hit, bump it down the fairway, wedge on 1 putt. Okay, so I get my 8. And the next hole, I almost make a hole-in-one.
Nice.
So I got a birdie on that, come back. So then we're cruising around, and we get to the last hole, and I 3-putted the last hole from 20 feet, and I shot a 71. But my putts...
all in the putts, man.
My putts were 29 putts, and the stats were almost exactly the same, like 12 greens hit in regulation or something like that, almost identical. So my point with telling the story is when you talk about like people are always buying drivers and they're trying to get the edge and they're trying to da-da-da-da. And it's like, dude, it's like you said, it's the wedges.
It's the wedges.
And it's the flat stick. And that's where it's at. I mean, that is totally
it's where
it's at. I mean, those 2 rounds the stats are almost exactly the same other than my putts. And if there's anything else I could improve, it was my wedge play.
This is the perfect time and good lead in for the Owen report, because he just played in his second tournament for Long Beach State. They came in second their first one. Remember, Owen was co-medalist. That was up in Washington State. So they went up to Fresno to play in the Nick Watney Invitational.
Oh, cool.
So these were Owen's scores. 69 first two rounds. He played 36 first day. 69-72.
Wow.
Both with 24 putts and 25 putts. He only hit 4 greens each of those 18 holes.
Oh, he's getting up and down.
Short game. Wedges and
big
putts.
Time.
64, the final round. He shot 64, 7 under.
64?
There was only one score lower than him in the whole event. He was at the top 10. I think he T9 or T8. His team came in second again and had to lead the whole way. And then who was it that came on? Brigham Young came on and shot zero. They had a 62, a 64, a 65 in a team. But they have 2 back-to-back second-place finishes. But he also had like 26 putts. So his putts were 24, 25, 26. He hit greens the third round and shot 64.
Exactly.
But he shot 69, 72, putting well and chipping well because he only hit 4 greens each day. But he knows how to score and keep his ball in play. Now, he said he drove it pretty, wasn't hitting irons well. But even if he did drive it poorly, his short game and wedges got him up. So look at those scores. Anybody takes 69, 72. He was total of 7 under for the event, which is pretty darn good for this kid. But it goes right to your point. This was putting.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 rounds he putted well. It kept him in the tournament the first 2 days, and then he went from like 25th to T7 or T8 or whatever it was. Just because he started hitting the greens.
Well, you said another key thing. I mean, keeping the ball in play is huge. So you take, and again, I'm only talking about this because it's the perfect example. When I took the triple on 12, if I keep it in play and make the par, which I shoot 68.
That's right, man. It's you're playing good
I played
golf,
really
man.
well, and I just made one bad. I made actually 2 bad choices because I decided to hit the same shot twice out of bounds.
So you're 79 and you're 71. There's a difference of that many putts.
Oh yeah,
So
10 putts.
Yeah, it's crazy. 10 putt difference.
10 putts.
So,
and even when I was playing in the second round, the guys go, because a couple of guys were playing with me from the week before. They're like, "Wow, you forgot your last round from putting, didn't you?" And I said,
"What round?"
I said, "What are you talking about?"
Exactly.
You know, whatever. It is what it is, man. It's going to ebb and flow. But if those examples, like your Owen's example, is the perfect example about how important putting and short game is.
It's and he knows how to golf his golf ball. He knows how to play the game, which is. But again, everybody's focusing on drivers, which drives me crazy. Yeah. Because why? Because if you took all those drivers out of their hands and let them tee off with hybrids, all the players we're talking about, if you're a 12 handicap to a 30 handicap, took your driver out of play and use hybrids, maybe 3 or 5 woods, they would score better.
Yeah.
But they want this driver but it's because it's the skill set. It's not the golf club.
Right.
The golf club's at least not typically. And if it is, it's 8 more yards?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's not going to be, and that's if they can square it. That's fast and square it and hit the center of the face. Now, those ones that you have the world's largest sweet spot, it's bigger than
the So Long Ghost. Shaft not included. I love that.
Oh my God. So bigger than Billy's face. So, but it's interesting that's where people go to. And is it marketing? What is it? Why is that what they're going for?
I think there's a couple things. One, marketing, or one, it's fun. People love the driver. They love it because they love to see the ball go far. I mean, even if the ball doesn't stay in play, what do people do on the driving range? They hit the driver. Why? Because it's fun to see the ball go far, even if it's not going straight.
Which doesn't make sense to me. I think, the best, a ball going where you want it to go is magical.
Right? I think the other thing is, it is.
The ball going where you don't want it to go is just motion.
I think the other thing
frustrating.
Is the driver, because now the drivers are so big, just about everybody hits a driver off the tee. I think people feel like because the head is bigger, the ball's up on a tee, they got a better chance to have the ball meet the face, and that even if they don't hit it straight, they feel somewhat more confident than they do going, how am I going to hit this ball off the ground with an iron that's when the ball's not on a tee?
So optically, they look bigger and easier to hit.
Yeah.
So
they feel like they got more of a chance.
But and the truth is, their golf faces are more forgiving, but you still have to hit it on a path that's in square.
Yeah.
So if it's toed or heeled, if you will, it's going to get a good response. If the path isn't straight and the face isn't square, it's going to be maybe faster into trouble.
Yeah,
right.
Which most of the time,
right? It's and they're hard to get. Some of them really hard to get up in the air. They have to put the weight in the back. So if you're not hitting them on an upswing or something, you can just belly them all over the place. Yeah. They're so light. So you see a lot of those little low bellies, or it's hard to pop up something that's 6 inches deep. But it's just interesting that's the go-to club. When for me, I'd be trying 6 or 7 putters until you. But But I say that, but I've been using the same putter for a while now. But and
I have too.
But it's something that because we believe in it. But that's where or I just practice more putting, because if you putt well, your confidence gets better. You walk up to the tee with confidence, and most likely you make a better swing, right?
Well, and if you putt well, I I think that there is something, we've talked about this before. I think there's something like if you're putting well, what you're feeling, whether that's hearing and feeling, what you're feeling when you're putting well is you've got that feel. You got that rhythm, right?
You've got tempo and time.
I think that carries over to your swing.
Absolutely.
To your driver and to your iron. So if you think about the putter is the last thing on every hole you use. And if you're putting well and you get to the next tee and you're pulling driver,
it's your attitude.
You got your attitude, you got your rhythm, you got your tempo.
If you two-putt from 50 feet, you knock your first one up there a foot and you tap that in, man, you're feeling pretty good about it.
Totally.
Or if you make a 10-footer, you're pumped. But if you three-putt from 6 feet, you're up to that next tee, and you try to make up for it.
Yeah.
So it really controls your confidence. So putt better, you drive better.
Yeah, I truly believe
no question about that. And you save some money, but you sell golf clubs. I don't. But it's interesting.
That's great. It's great conversation. We're going to take first break of the second hour. It's Golf Talk Radio, brought to you by Paso Robles Golf Club, PasoRoblesGolfClub.com, 805-238-4722. Check out the new Deeds Bar and Grill, 16 TVs. We have the NFL package every weekend. Also have an open-air veranda overlooking the golf course, dinner 7 nights a week. 805-238-4722, PasoRoblesGolfClub.com. We'll be right back. Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Bill.